We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Reese.
Here.
Councilmember Osk.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Gilbertson.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Baggerly.
Here.
Davis. Here. And Schultes.
Here.
Councilmember Butterfield is excused, so I have 8 present, 1 excused.
Stand for the pledge. Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Proposed additions or deletions to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Gardner.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
And Nelson.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion carries. We had nobody for open forum, right?
Correct. No one.
Next is the Civic Center Blue Line Arena roof project. Now,
The consent agenda needs to be done first.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Gardner.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
And Nelson.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes. Now the Civic Center Blue Line Arena project. Rob? Park and Recs Director, Rob Baumgartner.
Good evening, Mayor, Member of the Council. Tonight, we're going to look at adopting a resolution accepting the proposal from the J-Mart Company for the replacement of the Blue Line Arena roof in the amount of $263,797. Just recapping the roof, it's the original roof from 1998. Staff has done the best that they could about making the repairs that they can with the screw heads and the seams. It just has gotten to the point where they can't fix it anymore. The roof is probably, and what the contractors are saying, have lived its life. They've had a couple of them, we've had a couple of them inspect it, so they're saying to replace the roof. And this is kind of twofold because we're looking at trying to re-insulate that roof as well. So this kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone because how we can do this roof is they fill in all the flutes from the roof, so it makes it completely flat, and then they can add the insulation on top of it, and then they put the membrane on top. So we're able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so we won't have to insulate the inside of the roof now. So we worked with the J-Mart Company. They are part of the Sourcewell bidding, so we went this route, and I'm looking for your guys' approval.
You said that this is the original roof?
Yes,
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
we've done a lot of screw repairs up there, so.
We need a motion to adopt the resolution.
So moved. Second.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
And Gardner.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Rob. Next, I'll call on City Engineer Jared Volge for Iverson Park Lift Station.
Good evening, Mayor Council. Closing your packets this evening is the staff report related to the Iverson Park Lift Station. On February 24th, we received 8 bids for the improvement. They range from a low bid in the amount of $548,673.25 to a high bid in the amount of just over $1.1 million. The low bid was submitted by Dunick Inc. And enclosed in your packets this evening are 2 resolutions. First, accepting the bid and awarding the contract to Dunick in the amount of $548,673.25. Second resolution is to approve the as-bid budget. And with that, Mayor and Council, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Call for a motion on the first part to Dunnick's.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? Steve?
Mr. Mayor, I just have a procedural question. It might be for Mr. Scott. My company has been informed that we are likely going to perform the industrial portion of this bid. Should I abstain from this vote? Very small part of the bid.
Yes, I would recommend abstaining.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Schultes,
Aye.
Baggerly,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Gilbertson,
Aye.
and Osk.
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 abstained, 0 noes.
Motion carries. Next, call for a motion on the as-bid budget for the Iverson Park Lift Station.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Osk,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Baggerly,
Aye.
Schultes,
Aye.
Gilbertson,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
and Gardner.
Abstain from this one as well.
Okay. 6 ayes, 0 noes, and 1 abstained.
The motion carries. Next is approve bid for project 2601A, 4th Street Southwest reconstruction. I'll call on Jared again.
Mayor Council, the second item this evening is related to the 4th Street Improvements Project. Plans and specifications have been prepared for that improvement, and we're seeking council authorization to approve the plans and specs and authorize advertisement for bids.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Discussion? Justin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Vogie, I've been communicating with you for a couple days now on this project because I've received quite a few communications from members of the community who are upset about tree removal. Just so the public is a little bit more aware than they might be at this moment, could you provide some background on what will be happening with tree removal for this and other similar city street construction projects?
Yes, absolutely. So similar to all reconstruction projects, ultimately what happens is we put together the preliminary concept or the layout for the improvements. Typically, our streets are centered on the right-of-way. From there, city standard has been to place a sidewalk about 1 foot or 2 feet off of the right-of-way. That allows room for contractors, when they're working on the private side of the services, to dig up to the service and not damage the sidewalk during that process. So once the street corridor is laid out, then we review the improvements with respect to trees and private utilities. Private utilities, particularly Willmar Municipal Utilities transformers, are expensive to move. So we try to accommodate not only the private utilities, but also the trees, because a lot of these places that we're reconstructing, they haven't been reconstructed or improved in a number of years, and these trees are mature, right? And so it's definitely an asset to our community that we want to preserve. What we do find very frequently, unfortunately, is that homeowners tend to plant trees next to their sewer and water services. When we come in to replace those from the main to the property line, suddenly you have a 20-plus inch diameter tree right next to a water service where there's going to be a trench 10 feet deep. As you can imagine, that presents a safety hazard for the workers that are installing those services. And quite honestly, a lot of those trees are what are impacting a lot of the service laterals coming from the homes because of root balls and things of that nature. So ultimately, if there is a tree immediately adjacent to a curb stop or sanitary sewer service, that tree unfortunately needs to be removed. So once we've identified this on a plan perspective, reviewing it as part of the preliminary plan process, we go out in the field and we review each tree with the city's arborist as well as engineering staff, and we look at each individual tree scheduled for removal while we're out there. And as council is well aware right now, we do have a problem with emerald ash borer in the community. So we do inventory all the ash trees. In particular, on 4th Street, some of those ash trees have already been removed. Some are sick, and they have been included in the project for removal. So the tree's overall health, as well as its type, now that we have such things as the emerald ash borer, go into consideration for those tree removals. So after that field review of all the trees is completed, we take that information back and finalize the plans and determine the final tree removals. And ultimately, the goal is to preserve as many as possible. Trees that don't present safety hazards, trees that aren't diseased, trees that aren't going to contribute to early deterioration of the infrastructure improvements that are going in with the project. So ultimately, that's a really quick snapshot of what goes into determining what trees are removed and what aren't. So I'll pause there if there's any additional follow-up.
Just one quick follow-up question. It would be inaccurate then to state that every tree along that street was going to be removed.
Not every tree along that street is scheduled for removal. I will say, however, there is a significant number of trees that will be removed on that project. If memory serves me correctly, I believe there's approximately, and I get these numbers wrong, but generally, I think there's 29 trees right next to curb stops, 17 ash. So there's going to be quite a few trees removed.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Were we able to save any because we're narrowing the street? Did that factor into being able to save any of them?
So the narrowing of the street, and intuitively you would think that would make a big difference. What we found, particularly on that project, is the location of the private utilities as well as the existing sidewalk out there varies from 3 to 4 feet in width. City standards sidewalk width is 5 feet. And as you drive up and down that corridor, you can see the massive size of some of these trees. You can see how they're perched up on the boulevard. They almost look like an ant mound with their roots above. And if you look immediately adjacent to them, you can see what they're doing to the curb as well as the sidewalk. Unfortunately, with trees, their roots extend out as far as their leaf canopy. And if you get into the major roots on a tree, it might still stand for a few years, but it definitely is stressed. And then particularly if we get a dry summer and it doesn't get all the moisture that it needs, it unfortunately will have to be cut down in the future. So the narrowing of the street was not as large of a factor as one might think, just given the existing infrastructure or the width of the existing sidewalk, as well as the overall size of those trees.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or discussion? Tom?
Will there be an effort to replace trees that are cut?
Yeah, so actually the city does have a tree replacement or planting program. Last I talked to Mr. Tinklenberg, he mentioned that the city, I believe, and I'm going to probably get this wrong, but I believe somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 100 trees annually. Certainly, projects that remove the mature tree canopies within the community are prioritized. And I know that Public Works staff is always looking for grants to replace trees. So trees do get replaced in boulevards after they've been removed from construction. Not one for one. I don't want to have that misconception out there, but along that corridor, I fully anticipate there will be trees replanted.
Over the years, I've taken part in Arbor Day and Public Works planting trees, and we'd have grade school children there and on celebrating Arbor Day. I know we've got a good tree replacement and projects throughout the city. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
And Nelson.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion passes. Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, council.
Next, I'll call on Public Works Director Shane Stefanik on the purchase and replacement of a Public Works plow truck.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here to talk to you about the purchase and replacement of a 2027 International HV 507 dump truck in the amount of $119,915.02 plus tax and license. With the snow removal equipment is another $177,590 for a total of $297,505.02. Currently, the CIP amount is for $290,000. Our trade-in value for the truck will be approximately $24,000 to $30,000, so we should be able to recover that cost. Our truck chassis is currently 8 to 12 weeks out if we get approval tonight, but the truck won't be able to be built until 2027. So we've got some time to sit on this old truck. We'll run it for another year, and then we'll trade it in as soon as the other truck is up and running. Yeah, any questions?
I'll call for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Discussion? Steve?
Mr. Stefanik, is it normal for us to replace all of the plow and snow removal equipment at the same time of the truck? Is the lifespan of that equipment similar to that of a truck?
Yeah, typically, unfortunately, due to the corrosive nature of what we're dispersing onto the streets, but be it the brine or the salt, typically our equipment goes bad about the same time the truck does.
And remind me again how many snow plows we have?
Ooh, I do not have that number, but I can get it for
It's
you.
11, I think.
11? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So based on that, really, and this truck is a 2013, correct?
Mhm.
So if we have a useful life of a snow plow is 13 years, we have 11, that means we should budget about $300,000 almost every single year just to buy snow plows.
Yes,
Okay. Want to make sure everybody understands that.
yeah, keeping our streets clear is not cheap.
Well aware. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Nelson.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
And Gilbertson.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Passes. Shane, do you want to take us through the wastewater professional services agreement with Donahue and Associates?
I do. So my second item tonight is the motion to adopt a resolution entering the professional services agreement with Donahue and Associates. This is for the Genio Turkey Store Nutrient Removal Project. The amount for this agreement would be $99,755. So this is, just in case you guys need a little background on it, this is for the biological nutrient removal for our phosphorus, which is required by permit. Currently, we use a chemical called ferric chloride. It's very expensive. This would use the biology that is in the plant, just giving it a different environment allows it to digest and process get rid of that phosphorus naturally. So we would save costs with chemicals. We would save costs with energy because we were able to reduce some of the horsepower of the motors that we're currently using. And currently, the engineer's estimate for that would be $1 million about. And then the payback on the project is estimated at 6 years.
Need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Further discussion. Rick?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So this project is basically for Genio waste then?
Yes, that would be on the industrial side.
Is there gonna be an extra fee charged to them?
Not that I'm currently aware of. No, they, if my history serves me correctly, they helped build that plant and that was, and then we do charge them additional industrial service fees every year
For their usage?
for their increased usage. It's an industrial waste service fee, I believe is the language.
Great, thanks.
Any other, Tom?
Was this project bid for the professional service agreement, or how it is come to be Donahue?
Oh, I don't know.
Donahue is the engineer that helped construct the plant. So that's why we continue with their services, professional services, because of their history of the plant.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Schultes,
Aye.
Osk,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Gardner,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Baggerly,
Aye.
and Gilbertson.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion carries. Thanks, Shane. Next, I'll call on Christopher Corbett with a Bear Land Lease Agreement with Willmar RC Association.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Last year, probably around the spring, early fall, Parks and Recs Director brought the Willmar RC Association before you to speak to you about potentially starting a RC park. During those conversations, it was first being proposed on Fifth Avenue, and a recommendation from City Council was to direct staff to find a better location. And so staff worked with RC, the Willmar RC Association, and we landed on 2 parcels west of in the western part of the industrial park. And so if you bear with me a second, we'll go west on Highway 12, and then we'll go south onto 45th Street. So the parcels here will be 95917-5620 and 95917-5630. This initial lease is for 5 years at $800 annually. It's aligned with some of our ag land leases that we have as well. This lease is structured a little different, so there will be no permanent structures on the site. The Willmar RC Association agreed to remove any buildings or temporary structures that they have on site. They'll be removing those once the lease is terminated. We still retain the right to sell the property if there is a interest in it, in developing the site. In your packet today is the exhibit of the site, the 2 parcels, which is probably 8 acres or so, and a standard lease. And some of the language that I spoke about today is in the lease. 2 things to know: that we did contact the county and DNR to gain permission to utilize the Hawk Creek, the ditch there, just so they can clean the tracks and the course. With that, I'll stop. If there are any particular questions about the intent and the track itself, I'll invite the association, the Willmar RC Association, up to speak, but I'll stand for any questions.
Is that land that we have leased out for crop?
Currently, right now, there's no agriculture lease on the site.
Okay. Carl?
I'm assuming that the RC Club will have to either haul in some fill or make changes to the land to build their track. Is that correct? And with Hot Creek being right there, we have to be careful about, just want to make sure that we're taking care of Hot Creek too, that's gonna not be a concern.
Yep. Thank you for that, Councilmember Schultes. We'll treat this as if it is a development and work with our engineering department as well to make sure that those protections are taken in place.
Just for the record, this is a great thing, I think, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
If someone's interested in purchasing this parcel before the lease is up, will, in order to remove the buildings and return it to, will that be on the city or will that be part of the RC Club,
As part of the RC Club's responsibility.
even if it's shorter than the term?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further? Rick?
Mr. Mayor, so rent is due and payable first day of the season or first of the year?
Let's take a look here at the lease. Potentially it'll be typically when the lease is signed. So after, I guess tomorrow, if the mayor and city administrator can sign it, if it's approved tonight, then it'll be that day. But we can also do it the top of the year.
I just want to make sure we get the money up front before the season.
Of course, yes.
Had some rental land that the farmer got the crop and then never paid us rent, so I don't want that to happen again.
Thank you for that. We'll make sure it will not.
Oh, I need a motion to approve the lease of the land.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Gardner.
Aye.
Davis. Aye. Schultes.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
And Fagerly.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion passes.
Thank you.
Christopher. Next, I'll call on our city attorney, Robert Scott, on a lease agreement with City Line Towing.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is the license agreement that the city council has reviewed several times for the use of the area beneath the First Street Bridge by City Line Towing and Mr. Butler. Sorry, I've got the wrong document up. It's contemplated that this will be a 10-year license agreement. At the onset of the agreement, immediately after signing the license agreement, within 30 days, the city will be acquiring a 13-foot strip of the existing City Line Towing property that extends beneath the First Street Bridge for a consideration of $5,000. That should take place within 30 days of this agreement going into effect. And then as of the date of conveyance of that 13-foot strip, the entirety of that area, together with the area the city owns beneath the First Street Bridge, would be made available for City Line Towing Company's use. The agreement authorizes City Line Towing to install a fence and park vehicles in connection with its towing business in the licensed area. The license fee begins at, is it 36? $600 a month, and then it would increase annually during the term of the license agreement. Any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them, but this is something I think the council is familiar with, and we are finally to the appropriate time for the council to approve the agreement. it did go before the planning commission, and the planning commission recommended approval of the portion of the agreement that dealt with the acquisition of the 13 feet below the bridge.
Questions or motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Discussion? Justin?
Just have a quick follow-up. Did I misunderstand? What did you say the license fee was? 3,600 a year, and then increases
Going
by
memory,
600?
It's $3,600 annually, which I believe is that 300 a month.
Okay.
And then it increases for the first 2 years by $600 annually. It will be payable in monthly installments, but that's the annual license fee.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Schuldes,
Aye.
Davis,
No.
Fagerly,
Aye.
Osk,
Aye.
Nelson,
No.
Gardner,
Aye.
and Gilbertson.
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 noes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Robert. Next, a call on Operations Director Kyle Fox in regards to the Phase 1 construction services.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Tonight before you are two professional services agreements related to Willmar Connect. The first is Construction Services Amendment Number 2 with Bolton and Mink for the construction management and oversight of Willmar Connect Phase 1. Included in your packet is the proposal for the work to be completed by Bolton and Mink. I'll stand for any questions.
Motion,
So moved.
a motion, second,
Second.
we got a second, discussion. Roll call. Yeah, Steve.
Good evening, Director Box. So this is for $520,000, this first one, is that right?
$520,393, yes.
I'll make round numbers if that's okay. Approximately $520,000. Okay, we've already spent $1,250,000 on this project. Just in case anybody's keeping score, that's what we spent, and I don't expect to change anybody's mind for what I'm about to say on these next two items, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Where in the pro forma was this cost projected?
In the pro forma, there is a column in the pro forma that accounts for approximately $1,250,000. During the evaluation of the bonding for the project and whether or not the city was going to reimburse itself for these costs, it was decided and presented to the council that we would not be reimbursing ourselves for expenses that have been paid towards the project. The rationale behind that is we're projecting for this project to be revenue generating over time. And it didn't make sense for us to recommend to include reimbursements of the dollars that were spent and pay interest on those dollars until potentially later in the life cycle. Again, with the idea of being able to pay back those expenses in the industrial park over time versus borrowing additional money, paying interest on that money now. That was the rationale. So it is accounted for, but it is not factored into any debts or any bond proceeds that we would be getting.
Okay, but the pro forma you're referencing, that $1.25 million, is in a pro forma we did not have when we bid this project, because the pro forma has been updated, right? At least the version I had in my inbox and the one you sent me today are very different, right? And that 1.25, we've already spent We haven't spent this 520,000 you're proposing tonight. Where was that projected in the original bid projections? And I'm gonna ask the same question of the $400,000 you're gonna ask for from Hometown Fiber. Where was this $920,000 projected in the pro forma we had when this council awarded this project?
That's a great question. In the pro forma, it does not, I'm going to pull that up, if you bear with me one moment. The short answer is it's not accounted for in the pro forma documents. It is accounted for when we typically do, just like any street improvement project, there typically is a bid budget or an as-bid budget that includes the professional services in the project. When we brought the initial, I believe it was the first amendment with Bolton and Mink, it was modified to reduce all of those costs to only focus on the design and what was obtainable at that time. The reason for that being was the mantra of the project was to slowly introduce steps over time so that we're not committing ourselves to large dollar amounts from the very beginning. Again, with the intent back then was to be able to incur those costs and repay the city back with bond proceeds. That has changed over the last 2 years and has changed, I mean, just even within the last year itself. So with the intent originally was to reimburse the city. However, we've moved away from that model with the reason I explained earlier. So to answer your question, it's not explicitly factored into the pro forma.
I still have questions. All right, so we didn't account for it. Are we gonna have similar costs in phases 2 and 3 if we proceed? And where are they factored in? 'Cause you're telling us phase 2 is gonna be 7 million and phase 3 is gonna be whatever. Does that include another hundreds of thousands of dollars in services just so we can manage a bid? Because that's what this is.
Okay.
This is $920,000 to manage an 8-month construction project that only costs, only is relative, 8.1. That's a pretty high overhead to construction value, right? So are we gonna incur similar costs that are not accounted for on the sheet that the spreadsheet that's been going around? Are they accounted for in there if we go to 2 and 3?
No, for the same reasons I just explained.
Okay, great. I also noticed in the pro forma you sent me today that when y'all voted to approve this, you counted 40% market share. Using your words, I believe, ultra-conservative, right? Now it says 46 that we have to get this phase cash roll positive or cash positive in 16 years. We have to get 40%, 46% market share to get this project cash positive in 16 years. Y'all realize that when you voted for it? Okay. All right. I'll wait till this one's over before I keep talking about it, but I'll make this point. We spent over $1.2 million already. You're asking us to add $900,000 tonight, right? So we can get cash flow positive maybe in 16 years. We're so deep in the monkey house, we don't know what stinks anymore. And I'm gonna tell you what that analogy means. Y'all been to Como Park, right? Y'all walked in the primate house? What do you smell when you first walk in? Stinks to high heaven, doesn't it? But as you're sitting there and you're watching the orangutans and the gorillas and the chimpanzees, you start to forget what it smells like until you walk outside. And when you walk outside, you take that big old breath of fresh air, and you think, oh, it really stunk in there. Guess what? We're deep in the monkey house right now. And we don't know what fresh air smells like anymore. So all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Back to the pro formas, when we look at the unit prices, and there's consulting, civil engineering, network architecture to the tune of $1.8 million. Are any of these costs going to be decreased for the costs that we're covering here with Bolton and Menk, as well as the hometown with those numbers there?
Can you repeat that, Councilmember Gilbertson? The dollars that have been spent, are they decreasing the work that's being requested?
Well, inside the pro formas, there is a dollar figure that's built into for consulting, for engineering, and for architecture under the unit prices.
Sure.
If you're in there at this moment. It's to the tune of about 1.85 million. Will we still see those costs in addition to what we are passing here today, is what my question is. Or are we stacking engineering and consulting costs? I guess my biggest concern is I know that Hometown specifically was pretty instrumental in helping develop some of these pro formas. And if they're missing their own costs, that concerns me.
Sure. I wouldn't, in the pro forma itself, this has been, the document itself is much more complex and requires a lot more manual inputs. So the dollar amount that you see just on the pro forma tab would represent all of the anticipated costs during the construction season. So the initial pro forma to talk, when we look at the that unit price tab was estimated dollar amounts of what it would take to move forward. Those are not factored as for a 2020 a year one project. So they aren't stacking up or double dipping or anything like that. They're it's standalone from where we're at today. I wouldn't, I don't want to say don't pay attention to it, but it's not impacting the pro forma one way or the other for that specific tab in the sheet.
It does, though. It goes into construction costs, which is
Yes,
where the
but
bonds are calculated from.
Yes, and then I don't know which version you are using. Those are manually overrided to only reflect the 8 million. What it is $8,460,000 is what the bond would be for the project. So everything is factored into one number right there.
And what we're passing today is not factored into that number.
It is factored into that number, yes. Yes, so factored into the, one moment and I will pull up that sheet.
Mr. Box, would it be possible to get what you're viewing on our screens in front of us?
Unfortunately, Councilmember Osk, actually, yes, give me one moment. I apologize, I was not preparing to share any screens tonight, so bear with me one moment.
It still comes from.
So on this sheet is the tool or just a working sheet that I've been using to help track what we will need for Phase 1 bonding. So the bid that the council awarded is at the top of just under 8.2 million. We'll be recognizing at a future council meeting the change order to the industrial park, reducing 8.1 by 1.6 million. The bond also includes the construction of the NOC, the professional services from Bolton and Mink, which is the action before you, and then the following action from Hometown Fiber. There is additional contingency built into this, to the bond as well, at totals of 5% for the project. all said and done, the construction fund that we are anticipating will be $8.1 million, as well as planning for 1 year of capitalized interest. And that number will fluctuate based off the ratings calls, based off the bond sale, based off additional information. So this number is not final, or the breakout is not final. What will be is the max that we're looking at going down from 9.2 to 8.46. So the dollars, the two action items in your packet this evening are accounted for in the bond request under these two numbers right here. So it wouldn't be any additional dollars coming out of the industrial park. The intent is to now, at this point moving forward, any expenses for fiber would be in the project fund or the construction fund or an enterprise fund when we get to that point.
Steve?
Just so I'm clear, we've rated the industrial park for $1.2 million with no intention to pay it back. And the bond that we're about to request does not include construction of the industrial park.
Yes, Councilmember Gardner, that is the path we are down. Of course, I think you understand that.
I'm leaving out the fact that you said we're going to get a grant to do the industrial park, right? Which we do not have, and likely will cost us more money because we have to do all the regulatory guidance that goes with getting a grant. But as of today, we have rated our industrial park for $1.2 million, and we're about to go do a bond sale for $8.1 million that does not include or has not factored in completion of the industrial park.
We could certainly go back to the higher bond amount if we would like to put dollars back into the industrial park, but that isn't the recommendation today, but we can certainly.
That is not what I'm recommending. I'm just want
doing
to
that.
make it very clear that that's what we're doing.
Yep. There's been a series of events that have been out of the city's control when it came to the last decisions, and this is the best scenario that we can come up with, or have come up with. We think it's an achievable scenario. Removing the industrial park from phase one, although unfortunate, was the best opportunity we had to reduce the overall scope of the project while maintaining the integrity of the project. Also realizing there is a significant amount of fiber being laid in the industrial park with a lower amount of end users to connect. It is not the position of the city at this time to abandon that goal or abandon that build of the industrial park, and it is our intent to get there at a future stage. But with the situations that have arisen since the bid opening and moving through multiple contractors in order to keep a project within the pro forma that has been laid out, this was the recommendation: to remove the industrial park, to not reimburse the industrial park fund with 2026 bond proceeds, and count on, look forward to future project revenues and or request reimbursement and future bond proceeds to the industrial park.
It makes 0 sense. What you said makes perfect sense. Don't get me wrong, I am not faulting you in any way, shape, or form. So please don't take it that way. This project makes 0 sense. We started out, and I know it's too late, but we started out to get fiber to the industrial park. And we have walked down a path to where, in order to reduce costs to the project, we cut out the industrial park. Think about that.
Didn't we cut it out because we were expecting that grant?
We don't have it yet, Mr. Mayor.
I understand. I'm thinking. Steve, I want to ask you a question, and simply a question. You said the night that we voted to go ahead with the project, that if we voted for it, you were against it before, but you would be solidly with us.
I did say that, and I stand behind that comment, Mr. Mayor, but here's what I don't like, and here's what I cautioned at the time. Tonight, we're adding $900,000 that were not included in what y'all bid on, or y'all voted for. Did y'all know you're an extra $900,000 added tonight, 2 weeks after you voted for it? We have a 5% contingency in that bid. 5%. Rick, you've been around construction long enough to know, is 5% good enough for any construction project you've ever been associated with?
Usually not.
No, it's not. It's not even close. What's gonna happen when they hit a big old hunk of granite somewhere in the ground? You know who's gonna pay for it? We are. What's gonna happen when they go through, plowing through an unfound utility? Who's gonna pay for it? They're not. We are. And that's not gonna be cheap because we're gonna get change order prices. Right? I will be behind this project. But I will not sit here and watch this project throw money away. And don't even get me started about the next item we're talking about.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Councilmember Osk,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Schultes,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Gilbertson,
Aye.
Baggerly,
No.
Gardner.
No.
5 ayes, 2 noes.
Motion passes. Kyle, go to the next one, the professional services with Hometown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council. The second item related to Willmar Connect is professional services agreement with Hometown Fiber. These services include technical support and oversight for the telecommunications portion of the Phase 1 project. Also included is the Network Operations Center planning services and for Willmar Connect. Included in your packet is the proposal from Hometown Fiber. This also would be paid for out of the construction or bond fund in amount not to exceed $400,000. I'll stand for questions.
Questions or motion? Steve?
What value are we getting for $50,000 a month during the course of this construction project?
I think it's important to know there's specialized services needed for the technical telecommunications side of this project. In addition to, the services that we receive for engineering, civil engineering, construction oversight, everything that we are normally or typically used to when it comes to an infrastructure project. The evaluation that or a justification of why this contract is being proposed and recommended is for a variety of reasons, including the planning for the Network Operations Center and its commissioning, coordinating with internet service providers and their transport networks, and network operations planning and service activation readiness, so making sure the NOC and the services, the out plant, are lit up when they are turned on. And also the fiber network documentation and all the data that goes in with the GIS, everything inside the handhole, all the splice counts, all of the technical work that is done at an extra level that we would normally or typically receive from a civil engineer. Mr. Gardner, that's how
Okay,
I
I have another
that.
question. Inside their proposal, they want us to pay basically door to door when they travel out here for a meeting, right? Their home office is Minnetonka. Would we all agree that that's roughly 2 hours from here?
Approximately,
That they'll
yes.
charge us 2 hours worth of time? So when their principal, who charges $180 an hour to sit in his car to drive out here, we're paying that guy almost $800 or $720 just to drive to a meeting. Does that seem fair to you?
I know that we absolutely can limit that and dictate, whether it's going to be remote work or on-site work, but there's going to be a reason or a need for staff from from Hometown Fiber to be on site to work with whoever they need to if there's questions on the telecommunications side. So if the ask is to limit it, we absolutely can limit it and do more of a remote structure. But we want to make sure that they are available and on site for the contractor when they would need that support or
I
that
think they should
inspection.
100% be on site when we need them. I don't think we should pay them $180 to drive here per hour.
We can make it a point to have as many virtual meetings as possible.
I think you're missing my point, Mr. Box. I don't think we should pay them travel time, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
The other thing I would ask, is we have $200 per hour or for per diem in here if they have to stay overnight. How did they establish that rate? Because if I go to the GSA website, which is the government website that most people use for per diem, it's $110 a day, $68 a day for meals and incidentals. That's $178, not $200.
The per diem, the rate that they came up with is the rate that they are requesting in the proposal. When I received the first proposal, this was not a area that I looked at. It was more so in the, the operations, inspections, and the construction oversight. Working with Hometown, being able to bring that proposal down from $450,000 to $400,000. I apologize, I did not focus on the overnight travel section of the document.
I recognize that it's a very small amount, but to me, it's a microcosm of Hometown's entire bid, which I think they are taking advantage of us. We paid them over $700,000 to date in the project, and they're asking for $400,000 more for the remainder of the year. I'm not even sure if that includes the $18,000 a month that we seem to pay them every month on top of that. So are we going to continue to pay them the approximately $18,000 a month we already pay them on top of the $50,000 they want for construction? Or are we done paying them $18,000 a month?
That would be over with approval of this contract. Or
So
however
in
we
addition
want
to,
No, this would replace and take
the
all
18
other.
will end?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Can you explain the difference between what we have been paying for at the $18,000 a month rate and what we're going to then?
So,
And this, by the way, is a shall not exceed number, not an automatic.
correct, it's a not to exceed $50,000 a month or aggregate of $400,000. The last cycle of payments that have gone to Hometown consisted of a lot of network operations center design. That is approximately 90% complete. It's a 3D rendering model that has been completed to really move into an as-built design and project. Also is the additional splicing tables that have to go and be coordinated with all of the construction plans that were put out to bid and going into the, and be available for the contractor.
But that's
There's
that's not included in what's coming next. So just because they're working on those construction plans,
Correct.
we still need them and their expertise to execute those plans during the construction phase?
Yes, so what's in the, so just to finish my, on the last part, on the, it was a lot of pre-planning when it came to design and implementation and construction documents on phase one and for the NOC. The proposal that is in your packet this evening is focusing on construction oversight in a supportive technical role to Bolton and Mink. The testing and documentation, so it's the extra layer of GIS when the infrastructure is laid into the ground. Hometown will go in and map all of the fiber counts and all of the equipment that is going to be in a handhole. It's the optical, the optical time domain reflectometer, or the OTDR testing, to test and verify the installation quality and performance of the fiber. And it's all in all completion test results, and providing the completion of test results and acceptance documentation, knock oversight, general load testing, surge protecting, circuit routing redundancy, the HVAC for the knock, the low voltage fiber for the knock, as well as working with staff to provide us more of a smooth transition going into the future to eventually take over operations of the network. That gives you some onto the testing side, there's additional network and ISP coordination that we'll be doing as well. Yes, I'll pause there.
Steve?
So is there no testing requirement by the contractor that's putting the fiber in the ground?
It would be the testing and verification provided by Hometown Fiber that would be completed. Off the top of memory, I do not recall the requirements for the contractor in the bid doc.
Mr. Vogie, is there a testing requirement for the underground contractor to test the fiber before they turn it over to us?
My understanding. Evening, Mayor Council. It's my understanding that the contractor is required to comply with the specifications, oftentimes in even road construction projects. Contractors do testing. However, we verify the test results as a companion. So I don't have the specific contract in front of me, but they will be required to meet the specifications.
So we're potentially paying for testing twice.
I guess I'm not sure how to.
I mean, if the testing requirement is in the bid spec, which I assume it is, I haven't read the full spec, but I would be shocked if we put something out for bid and didn't require a contractor to test the fiber after they put it in the ground, unless we knew there was a third-party testing coming through to test it after, right? So if we assume that there's testing in the bid package, and Mr. Box just said part of Hometown's $50,000 a month is to test the fiber, in theory, we're paying for it twice.
As part of the contract and the verification testing, then that would be twice.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second.
We don't have a motion yet?
We don't have a motion.
No, we don't have a motion.
No.
I had a question.
Yeah, Rick?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So I thought we were paying Hometown 20,000 a month. So it's only 18?
I think that was the average, yeah, not to exceed
And I
20,000 a
thought
month.
they were gonna have staff, living in Willmar.
As part of the operations contract, yes, they
Must
would,
be up and running first.
right, there, it wouldn't, if I'm understanding Councilmember Fagerly, the requirement for them to be on site or have a staff member on site would take place during the operation of the network, not prior to.
Okay.
For like on-call or response times or response needs.
If they're on call, they'd be local then. Or
Yeah.
would they come from the cities?
Testing my memory, I believe the requirement was to be on-site in Willmar for 8 hours, Monday through Friday, and then on-call on the weekends, and after hours as well. But a normal 8-hour day on-site, and then the on-call, everything after that. To their specific location after hours, I don't have off the top of my head.
Hometown Fiber, do they have an office? Or does he work out of his house yet?
No, they have an office.
It's in Minnetonka?
what their letterhead
One of the
said.
towers, yes, yep.
They must have just got the office then, because he worked out of his house in Maple Grove. That was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I remember the time we had a bid from a local company. It's not in town yet. They were gonna charge us 1.3 million to come with fiber from Candy High, down County Road 8, Willmar Avenue, out to the industrial park. And once they got in town, they said they would be going to residential areas. We didn't accept that. But now the fiber is out at Hog Implement, so it's like 4 miles closer. So I'm sure they could do it a lot cheaper than what we're doing. We aren't gonna get any premium for it, but We aren't going to either in 16 years. This is gonna fail, I'm sorry. So,
Further discussion or motion? Need a motion.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Gardner.
No.
Schultes.
Aye.
And Baggerly.
no,
5 ayes, 2 noes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council.
Next is announcements, and I've got an announcement and a request. City Administrator Leslie Valiant has announced that she will retire from her position on January 8th, 2027. On behalf of the city, I want to thank her for providing the city council with advance notice of her retirement. This allows us adequate time to thoughtfully establish the process for selecting the city's next city administrator and to ensure a smooth leadership transition. As mayor, I'm requesting that the city council designate city administrator transition designees to review and consider information relevant to the position, transition on an ad hoc basis. Council, I'd like a motion to approve the ad hoc committee, city administrator transition designees, assigning Justin Osk, Tom Gilbertson, Vicki Davis, and myself, Mayor Reese. Please join me in thanking Leslie for her years of service to the community and for her professionalism in providing the council with time needed to plan for this important transition. I would entertain a motion.
so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Schultes.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye,
Osk.
Aye.
And Davis.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion carries. We didn't have 8.
So I'm sorry, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Is there any other announcements? Rick?
thanks, Mr. Mayor. I didn't talk to her ahead of time, but Sarah Seatsma's in the audience, and she had a meeting with the local realtors. I was just wondering how that went. I heard good things, so.
I was not prepared to give a summary. We've had several meetings with the realtors about the I&I mitigation ordinance that was passed back in November, I think, of 2025. So we've met and explained the program and heard concerns from the realtors and how we can work with them, how we can get education out there. We met with a group of them at Edina Realty. I did a lunch and learn that was put on by Quality Title. And then just last week, we met with some of the members of the West Central Realtors Association also. So there's been a lot of communication, a lot of feedback, a lot of learning on both sides. The ordinance seems to be, by and large, rolling out and doing what we were hoping for. And there have been some questions of unexpected, atypical types of situations with property transfers that we've been trying to get answers for those realtors ahead of time. So I think it's been going well. The communication's been great from their industry for sure for us.
You're going to continue to meet with them then on a regular basis, or just as if they call.
Yeah, we don't have anything scheduled right now, so I think as the need arises, we can meet in person. There's a lot that we've been able to do just by phone calls and emails too, so
Okay.
we're definitely open to whatever they would find helpful for their side of this, because they are integral in helping roll this out and communicate with the homeowners for sure.
Thanks for that.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
We're adjourned.